Hello everybody, it's Jen. How are you? It's Tuesday, it's 9 o'clock. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Actually, I'm kind of just waiting to see when people log on and I can speak to you specifically who are logging on. But if you're already, if you're watching this on the replay, then you know that I just have to kind of chat a little bit while we see who is joining us. Hi, it's Darren. Hey, Darren. How you doing, girlfriend? I haven't heard from you for a while. Did you get your Yelp business profile up and running out there in California? Oh, okay, I see D. Hey, D. Oh, thank you guys so much for being here right at 9 o'clock. It makes me feel like a celebrity. Okay, so if you're there, I can see that there are people on, but I don't know who you are until you say hello. So please type in the chat box and say hi. D says hi. Hi. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm a little bit rusty on this because it's been about a month since I've done Facebook Live. Lainey's here. Hey, Lainey. So I was on vacation last time that Lainey did her broadcast, which was 2 weeks ago, and I just watched it back a couple of days ago, and it was incredible. So let me just start this Facebook Live by saying if you missed Lainey's, you need to go back and see it because it was so, so good. Kathleen is here. Hey, Kathleen. Christy's here. Oh, Darren said, working on getting finished. Okay, cool. Kathleen says hi from Tallahassee. I just told Kathleen yesterday that my first name is actually Kathleen. I've never gone by that name. But you know, when a name is your first name, it's like always complicated because it's like you have to tell people I don't go by that. I go by my middle name, and I actually go by a nickname of my middle name, which is the most complicated thing in the world. Camille's on. Hey, Camille, was not expecting you to be there. Oh, Darren said Yelp. Okay, gotcha. Oh, Darren said she's working on getting Yelp finished. Awesome. Okay, I see Catherine just joined. Hey, girl. Okay, 10 people on. So thrilled that y'all are here. So I have a topic planned tonight. But I will go ahead and tell you right now, I'm going to be going off topic a little bit, and I will tell you a little bit more why in a few minutes. But I am really glad you guys are here. I was planning on talking about Asana, which is a project management app that I use and that I really like. Some of you guys might like it. Some of you guys might not like it. We are going to talk a little bit about it, but I'm not going to quite go into the detail that I thought I was going to, and instead I kind of decided to go a little bit different direction this evening. Fawn says hi from Las Vegas. Hey, Fawn. Jay's here. Hey, Jay. Hope things are going well for you this summer. So let's just talk about life for a minute. Because first of all, a lot of us are moms and a lot of us have kids at home during the summer. And so it's a little bit hard to do like the business thing plus the mom thing, or maybe your kids are like even in like a summer camp thing, but just everything's a little bit out of whack over summer. And I will tell you that is definitely taking a toll on me. My kids have been really good, really fun. But they don't know. They don't understand, I'm like, I'm trying to help people build their empires here. Like, I got to be more available, but it's hard. So I find myself working at really weird times. Anybody else? Is that happening to you? Okay, Becky says hello from Southern Oregon. Sandy DeRezzo, is that your new last name, girl? Sandy just got married. Camille says, me either. It's 3 a.m., but I can't sleep, so I'll use the time in a good way instead. Camille, I can totally relate to that. I will sometimes get insomnia in the middle of the night and find like I might as well just get up and work. So now you can like lay in bed and kind of be working or resting, which is great. Okay, Jay says yes. Oh, yes, you're working at weird times like I am. Yeah. So I actually am getting 3 days straight this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where I do not have kids with me, and my fiance is playing in a golf tournament, and yeah, big news. I just got engaged, y'all. So that actually happened 2 weeks ago. The same day that Lainey was doing her last live chat that I just mentioned, I was at the beach, and I'm just excited. I don't have any like awesome way to announce it, but I'm really, really, really happy. Got engaged out on the beach at sunrise. My boyfriend, his name is John. He's now my fiance, and now he's telling everybody that I am his fiance. That is like the sweetest thing in the world. He's like so sweet about it. So this is really exciting. So I'm definitely like in. Thank you guys. So Dee said congrats. Darren said congrats. Azanique said so happy for you. Thank you guys so much. Sorry, I can't remember what I was talking about. So now I sort of have like engaged brain. Like now all I want to do is look on Pinterest instead of doing my work and being an awesome mom. So that's another little layer of like life right now. Is just like summertime, people are on vacation. My brain is like still not back from vacation because of all this new excitement. Okay, Rossi just joined. Hey, Rossi, I'm so excited to be here. Okay, Christy says 3 days you have to yourself. Yes, I do. So I am going to binge work or catch up on all the work that I haven't done in the past couple weeks. Shayla say congratulations. Thank you so much, girl, and thank you for being here tonight. I haven't seen you here before. So I'm going to get caught up on work, which is really exciting. Kathleen said, did you have any idea he was going to propose? At that exact moment, I would say a little bit, but in general, yes, like we kind of had been talking about it and time was a little bit running out. Not running out, but we had been talking about it, so I kind of knew it was coming. But he asked me the day before if I would think about, he's like, what if we just got up at sunrise? He goes, you have to get up at 5 a.m. to do sunrise here. And he's never asked me that before, ever. And so I was like, that's different. Sure. Why would I say no? I'm not going to say no. Rossi said, I'm so happy to be here. And of course, congratulations. Thank you so much. Kathleen, I don't really mean like running out, but it's kind of like we've been dating a while and we've been talking about it for a while. And I'm like, okay, if it's really happening, like, you got to actually ask, right? Thank you so much. Gretchen said thank you. Okay, Jennifer King is here. All right, so let me stop talking about myself and start talking about you guys and what we're going to talk about tonight. So, thank you again. Thank you. Okay, so tonight I had planned that we're going to talk about using Asana, which is a project management application that is completely free. Well, it's not, there's a paid version, but it's free to use, like, especially if you're just using it for yourself, like to get started with your project managing. And if you guys have looked around on my blog at all, it's not super extensive at this point, so you probably have run across this post. If you haven't, you want to Google it. Google Pro Organizer Studio client template or client process template. And in this post, I give you a download where you can download it's kind of just a general template that I laid out for you from like getting your initial inquiry for your client all the way through like the entire project that you're doing with your client. Again, it's very general, so it's kind of like all-inclusive, like if you were to do everything with this client, here's like the process that you would go through. I think it's really useful because it kind of helps you break up, like, okay, you kind of have like your beginning process, your middle process, and your ending process. It kind of helps you to see where you are or how to kind of envision your project that you're going to be doing with this client, because every single client is going to be different. So sometimes it's going to be kind of a small project and then others are going to be longer and much more extensive. So Google that and find it and get the download and at least look at the template. Now, even if you don't end up using Asana, this might be really useful to you because then you kind of have like in an outline form what I see as being, like the title implies, it's kind of a complete template for what a project would look like for an in-home organizing job. So even if you don't use it in Asana, you can use it to kind of, look at and plan in your calendar and go, oh, okay, like, you have your initial inquiry and consultation process, then you have like the actual first tier organizing sessions, second tier and third tier, and then like all the follow-up that's included. Okay. So that's where we're going to start with tonight. Okay, Jay says, you keep freezing up. Is anyone else having an issue? Okay, I'm not seeing one on my end. So I hope it's not me. I'm getting like a strong signal. So I hope that it is happening on the phone and computer. Okay, sorry about that, Jay. Okay, great. Everybody else says it's going good. Francesca's here. Okay, great. Oh, and Mindy's here. Hey, Mindy. Okay, so just kind of giving an introduction about Asana and like this template that I give you. It's on my blog. Google it, find it. I think it's really helpful. You can go through like for each client, and you can take out the stuff that doesn't apply to that client. Or if you know that this client is going to be moving, then maybe you have a lot less. You don't have like really have like a maintenance phase because they're moving away. I mean, for example, or like if they're moving in, then you're like, okay, well maybe we'll have a little bit of decluttering, but we're mainly going to be setting up and finding systems and that kind of thing. So every client's gonna be a little bit different, so you can customize it to your client. Here's what I was thinking about doing tonight and couldn't really find the right way of going about this. What I wanted to do was use a new program with Facebook Live that would allow me to broadcast from my computer and then do like a screen share with you guys so you could actually see it visually in Asana. That was my hope. However, I could not find a solution that met my requirements in terms of like the technical end, and I won't bore you guys with that, but I couldn't find something that was high enough quality basically, and that was also just going to work for tonight. Like, I don't want to take you guys off the Facebook platform just to do like a fancy like presentation. Like, that's not quite what I want to do with this Facebook Live. Like, I always want it to be here. I want you guys to know that it's here in the group and that you don't have to go log into something else in order to see me present something to you. So we're going to talk. Hey, Raynette. Hey, Ashley, Bianca. Hey, Alicia. Okay, so excited you guys are here. You're never late. Don't apologize. Okay, so I was just explaining that I was going to try to show you guys this visually because every once in a while, I know, trust me, I know, I will talk about something on this Facebook Live and you guys will sometimes say like, oh, it would really help to see this visually because I'm more of a visual learner, a visual thinker. I completely understand that, and I really, really wanted to like do something for you special tonight, but that didn't work out. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to talk a little bit tonight. I just want to tell you a few things about Asana, and I want to actually help you guys figure out whether or not that's something that you want to take the time to learn. Not that it's complicated, and as I mentioned, it is free, but there are going to be some people who really like it and are going to want to take the time to dive into that tool and figure out everything that it can do. And then other people are going to be like, well, that's kind of making me more overwhelmed and more anxious. And end of the day, like, my goal with everything that I do for you guys is I'm trying to like simplify it and make it approachable. Like, I don't want you to feel like it has to be perfect and you don't have to build this like picture perfect project management process. It's just, try saying that 5 times fast. It's just that I want to tell you guys about a tool. Like, if you guys like having like really detailed, like if you like having a list and then a sub list and then another sub list underneath that little item, Asana is something that you will like, and it'll help you kind of map things out. So, okay, Christy says it's freezing up on her too. I'm so sorry, guys. Maybe try, I don't know, moving closer to your Wi-Fi box. Maybe that will help. Okay. Becca is here. Gwen is here. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, so talking about Asana and talking about that client process template, here's what I want to tell you, and this would be the essence of what I wanted to show you if I was doing a screen share with you tonight, is you can copy and paste that template into Asana. It's literally, you copy it from the download that I give you and paste it into Asana. You can customize it. You can name it, after your client Sally, client Jane. Okay, you can, if you have 6 clients going at a time, you would use that template for each one and then customize it for each one. The beauty of Asana, there's a couple different things you can do with Asana that you can't just do if you, for example, set up the same thing in Google Calendar. With your Asana template, you can take, each client would be like a separate project, and you could customize each one for that client, and go in. This is the key. You have to go in for each line of your template for the client process, each one that you know about so far, and set a due date for it. So even if like you're not all the way through the project, but you have the whole project outlined, but like the first third of it about what the date should be. So you go through and you put your dates for it, and you assign the task to yourself, or you could assign it to somebody else on your team. That's another thing that Asana allows you to do that you can't just do easily with Google Calendar, like all in one place. So you go through and assign it to the right person, and you put a due date on it. Now, so what'll happen is if you have 6 different clients and each one of them are at a different stage of your process, if you have gone through and taken the time to kind of map out, like in general, what you know for each client, then when you go to your calendar view in Asana, then you can see on a certain day where you are with each one. So it's like, okay, I don't have to be super overwhelmed because I want to like keep you guys from being overwhelmed. So this is just one way of doing that. It might not work for you, but you might love it. In order to keep from being super overwhelmed, you go to your calendar view, and you can look out not just today, but for the rest of the week, and kind of go, okay, so I've got some client sessions that are kind of all happening at the same time, so I might want to think about scheduling, if I'm going to do some errands for these clients, I might want to kind of schedule it here. And if I know that I'm going to be going out and doing errands anyway, like if I'm going to Costco because they got hangers and they got boxes, blah, 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 hey, why don't I throw in like my family's errands too at the same time? So it's kind of a way for you to visually see where you can batch tasks together, which is really helpful. And then if you see you have a whole empty day, then you can go ahead and schedule yourself like an admin day or a marketing day, time for you to get things done for your business so you're not left forgetting about those things. Okay, let me go to some questions. Camille says, is it mostly projects that you are hired for? In Denmark, it is for the most of the time just one day I'm hired for. It's just one day I'm hired for, or a maximum of 3 days. I guess it is because it's expensive to hire an organizer. We are only like a handful of organizers. Okay, so Camille, oh yeah, and I'm glad you brought this up because I probably should have said this at the beginning. So for anybody who is not aware about this, I work completely like I sell packages of sessions rather than one session at a time. Going into why that's a good thing or what the benefits of that are is probably a whole separate topic. So one video you might want to Google on our YouTube channel would be how to package your services as a professional organizer. That's the title of the video, so you can see it in the list. That might be helpful. So yes, so if I went on the consultation and I sold a package of 8 sessions, then I would be able to kind of map out, here's, based on the client, maybe I'm doing once a week for about 8 weeks. Maybe that's what the client and I have agreed to, or that's what she wants. So I can go into Asana and kind of just, again, it's customized on what is going on with them. Like, are they moving? Are we on a deadline? Or is it more of like a self-improvement, like I just want to minimize more and have less clutter? You can kind of go through and say, okay, we're going to be doing decluttering, are we going to be kind of doing some setting up of systems, and again, all of this is it's always kind of tentative because, especially like my style of organizing, I'm very flexible. Like if things change, because things do change even within the project, like sometimes we start out by saying, okay, here's kind of our plan for what we want to get accomplished. But then in the middle of those 8 sessions, the client suddenly is having company and she's like, I still really, really want you to be here, but we need to kind of focus on something else rather than what I thought we needed to do. Or all of a sudden she's feeling way more overwhelmed about her office than she was before, and she's like, can we just spend a day working on this? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. So kind of start out having a general plan, but it's flexible, things come up, right? Okay. So yes, so Camille, so I'm talking about working in packages. Okay, Jay is still having technical difficulties. So sorry, girl. Please, watch the replay. Okay, Lainey says she loves Asana. She's been using it for the remodel job. Awesome. Lainey says exactly, it's efficient shopping. Camille says, I do also mostly sell packages, but like 8 sessions would cost a fortune. Okay, so Camille, I know you just joined the masterclass a few days ago, so let's talk more in the masterclass group about specific pricing questions. And again, I know things are a little bit different in Denmark, but we can kind of work through discounting, because what I do is, I have a single session price, which would be 3 hours, but then if they buy 4 sessions or 8 sessions at a time, like there would be an increase, like a bigger discount for what they buy in advance. Okay. So I talked a little bit about, utilizing this client process, like really making it work for you, duplicating the template every single time you have a client, and then you can customize it, give yourself due dates, assign it to assign it to yourself or assign it to your teammate or whoever, your subcontractors if you're building your team. And then you have this calendar view, which is okay, now I have a visual sense of where I am with different people, or where I might have a little bit more free time, where I know that I'm going to just need to be totally ready to hit the ground running because I've got 4 clients back to back, over these few days or whatever. It helps you kind of see where things are. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because somebody in the group just a couple days ago was talking about okay, how do you do it? I'm a single mom, I'm working one job, I'm starting this side hustle, I'm trying to have time for everything, trying to have time for myself, trying to make time to date, and I'm just I have been there. That is so you have no idea how near and dear to my heart, because I have just been so just have so much anxiety about not being able to do all the things all the time. So I really, really relate to that. And this is something that, I just wanted to talk about it. And I'm not sure who posted that a few days ago. But something like Asana, or even just writing lists like crazy, has been really helpful for me in so many ways. And I will tell you that, with Asana, you could do kind of a similar thing in Google Calendar if you don't want to be as detailed about every single task. You could create if you guys use Google Calendar, then you could actually make a new calendar in your work calendar, in your new calendar, in your personal one. Make a new calendar for each client so that you can hide it or show it, or be able to just view your calendar, and it can have a color code. Just view that client and be able to see their project kind of at a glance. The downside of that is that you can't easily duplicate it like a template. You can't assign it out to somebody like you can in Asana, and you also can't create subtasks within your calendar event. But if you don't want to be as thorough, or try to learn a new tool if you're already using this, that could be another option. And I will admit to you guys that I really go back and forth between using digital tools like Google Calendar. I use my Google Calendar all the time, but I also, on an everyday basis, I'm using my day designer planner and writing stuff out, even if I'm repeating what's already in my digital calendar. And then with things like Asana, it's I'll really get a kick on it for a while, because it really helps me get a grip on everything that I have going on. And then after I kind of get in the swing of things, I'll kind of let it go a little bit. But the other cool thing about Asana is that when you check things off, when you mark things off as done, it gives you these cool graphics. It makes you feel very accomplished. So I really like it. So the point of tonight, and I hope that if you guys showed up and were expecting a super detailed tutorial, go on to YouTube and look at the videos that Asana makes about their tool. Are incredible. They're very easy to understand, and they're very high quality. And I want to be able to give you guys quality and give you guys value, but I knew I was not going to be able to do that within our platform, our format tonight. So Rossi said, I don't know how you do it. I've been wanting to have one glass of wine more often. Did I miss a really funny comment? I must have. Okay. I am drinking wine. So since I'm not going into our super thorough tutorial like I was planning on doing, which again, you guys may or may not need. You might just have listened to what I said and thought, that sounds way too complicated, and I really hate technical stuff. So you might not even want to do it. But you may want to go into the blog post, Google Pro Organizer Studio Client Process Template, and at least see how I have laid out from end to end, here's everything that's involved, from the beginning to the end of a project, so you can kind of get a grip on that. Okay. Camille says you do give a discount too. Okay. Kathleen says, okay, good question. She says, do you include a template for your personal life so it coincides with the business calendar, or are they two separate things that you use? Okay, so Kathleen, I don't know if you're asking specifically about Asana. I do use Asana for personal projects. I will give you an example. I have been slowly working for a few months, slowly, on helping my boyfriend, now fiance, update some things in his house. But I did not really get going on that project fully until, or I knew I was not going to really get going on that project fully until we got engaged, and where it was like kind of more of a formal, like, hi, will you work on my house with me so that you can move into it, right? So I've been kind of every once in a while just kind of taking notes about things like, okay, so I know that here's all the things that have to happen first, and then here's a group of things that have to happen second, in order to make some updates to his bachelor pad house. Some of you guys know, by the way, that he and I have very opposite, not opposite personalities, but he's a little bit of a sentimental hoarder. And I am not. I get rid of everything. So anyway, just kidding. We're stay tuned for how this all works out, by the way. So in Asana, this is where I've been keeping these notes, because it's sort of, I know that it's a project. It's a project I haven't really been like working on on a daily basis, but I kind of have been outlining, here's some of the things that we know have to happen. Like the bathroom, like the shower was broken. So we knew we were going to do the shower, we're going to do the bathroom first. Then the kitchen is going to be a huge pain because he's living there. So we're like, let's get the kitchen done before we even think about me and my children moving in. And then after that, it's like, okay, like let's get the big stuff kind of happening, so that by the time, whenever this is, that I move in, that, we can just be working on small things and not like, painting and floors and stuff. So I'm not sure if that answered your question. Do I include a template for my personal life? No. I don't include a template for my personal life because or for your personal projects, I guess, because every project is a little bit different. I guess that's what I was getting at. But what I was getting at was Asana is like actually a great tool to use for that kind of thing, especially if you're like, okay, there's a lot of like dependencies or moving parts, or you're going to be waiting on certain people for certain things, and you're like, okay, what can I be doing to like ensure that things are moving along? So I really like it for that, but I don't keep like personal to-do lists in it. That I more, use like a paper planner, which has been really helpful for me. By the way, if you guys are more interested in this topic, I actually talked about my personal like productivity system, if you can call it that, last month. I mean, it's been a few videos now, but if you go on YouTube and look for what to do when you get that panicked feeling, I think that's what it's called. I think it's also called project management for professional organizers, aka project management. Okay, so I introduced the idea of project management, which actually inspired this video, and then I talked a little bit about how I actually do like day-to-day managing personal life, business life, and then when it basically all clashes together, what do I do other than panic? So I actually go through and talk about that. And then as far as my calendar, which you mentioned, I do use Google Calendar. I have a business Google Calendar and a personal Google Calendar, and I can see both of them or hide one or the other, so I can see that really easily. Okay, Becky says, I use lists all the time. Often I get home and realize I forgot something and I have to yell at myself, it wasn't on the list. That's hilarious. And Becky, do you have... Are you working full time and doing your side hustle? And do you have any children at home or pets or other people? Because it's like, it's never just one thing, if like we could just have one project at a time, I think we would all be, superwoman, but there's always things with moving parts, Okay, Darren says, make an Asana template for your wedding. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll have to do that. I hope that, the good thing, he and I have both been, sorry y'all, I do not want this to be like a wedding Facebook Live at all. And the good thing is, I guess it's good, but he and I have both been married before, so it's not like we're planning this big wedding, which I'm really happy about. So hopefully that will be a lot simpler to manage and deal with. Okay, Jennifer says, look at that rock. Thank you, Jen. I wasn't going to be like, hey, but it is beautiful. He did a really good job. Okay, Kathleen said, haha, sentimental hoarder. Jennifer says, my husband is a sentimental hoarder too. He gets one room that I won't touch. That's all. Ooh, yeah, John is like really afraid that I'm going to make him, that he's going to lose all of his stuff or lose all of his space. And I keep telling him that is definitely not true, but he has to like make some room for me. He actually does really well. Okay. Rossi says her husband keeps the garage. Okay. Dee says, I know it's a totally different platform, but I used your template and adapted it to my CRM on Hubspot. Do you use Hubspot? I have logged onto it before and looked at it, but I have never used it like for real. Do you like it though? Because, I heard that it's free, which is a huge bonus. And it looked really easy to use. I have not gotten into it, but I'm excited about that. Christy says, wahoo, Scrum. Okay, Christy, I think like you're like my number one Scrum cheerleader, which I'm excited about. Okay, Becky says, currently unemployed and no kids. Okay, great. So you are like diving into your professional organizing hustle. It's the main hustle. That's cool. Okay, Shayla says, I have a question. I'm not sure if this is related. Totally fine. What if you're not finished with a project during the sessions of purchase by the client? How would you approach it? Okay. And I'm going to assume you mean like overall, because within a session, sometimes things move faster or move slower than you're expecting, but you mean like, say they purchased an entire package of sessions and you're not done with what she was hoping to get accomplished during that time. And you said, how would you approach it? So this question gets asked a lot because I think people are really worried about this happening. Like when they're going on their consultation and they're like, how do I know whether, and I'm just using this as an example, but my packages are 4 sessions, 8 sessions, 12 sessions, or 24 sessions. 24 is a lot. And each session is 3 hours. So people are like, what if I do too much or what if I do too little? Like, what do I do with this leftover time? My answer about that is there's never really any leftover time because there's always something else that can be done in terms of like, there's always something else disorganized in their life or in their house that they're like, oh, good, now we have time to like work a little bit on this. So that's a good thing. But you're talking about if you undershoot, like say, if you sell them a package of 4 sessions and it really feels like, well, maybe they needed another 2 sessions to get the job completely done, I would just suggest selling them the 2 sessions. I always actually, and you guys, your mileage may vary on this. Like you might want to do this or you might not want to do this, but a lot of my clients, I encourage them to keep going on their own, especially if we're that close to finishing. If you're that close to finishing, I encourage them, like, I feel like you got this, or I feel like you understand the structure that we've set up and that you're going to be able to complete this. And often, they say like, yeah, I've got it. We're talking about if you're really close. If you're not that close, or if they are not going to finish it on their own, then you just need to offer, you need to offer specifically to sell them what exactly they need. Now, if they don't, they can purchase a whole nother package, like another package of 4. Like if you guys have drastically, if there's just a lot more that they want done and they know they want to keep working with you, which, that's a great situation for you, right? But the other thing is that I just, I really try to make sure that within the time that I am spending with them, the time frame that we set at the beginning, like if it's a project that should have been done in 4 sessions, I try, every time I'm with them, I can't guarantee them how much we'll accomplish because a lot of it depends on them, how quickly they move, how quickly they're willing to kind of make decisions and like let you do your thing a little bit. But I try to make sure we stay super focused, especially if we're getting through like session 3. We're almost at the end of session 3 and I'm looking around and I'm thinking we're not 75% done with what we said we were going to do. And so from the outset, especially if I can tell they're moving a little bit slower, I try to make sure we are really staying focused on what are the most important tasks that she set out that we agreed were the most important for us to accomplish. So every time I'm there, it's like, let's not get sidetracked. I know there's a lot more we can do, but I'm with you for only 4 sessions, so I really want to make sure that we meet your goals, during this time. So I guess that was kind of a long answer, but the answer is I would be trying to manage my time well throughout the sessions, so that we don't end the 4th one and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just now realized we're not anywhere close. Like, that should not be happening. Like, you guys should be the ones who are very focused and like very aware of like where you are, like with the time and everything, because they're often I mean, you have a lot of clients who are like super excited and motivated and like really energized, and other times they're sort of like in la la land a little bit for at least part of the time. So you got to do your best. I know that's like tough, but you got to do your best with the clients that you have. Okay, Becky says, anxious to dive into this new business because I'm not otherwise working. It's kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess. Alicia says, hi, Jen. Big congrats on your engagement. Thank you so much. She says, I love lists, especially crossing things off. Lainey says, ... the basement, ... Yeah. So she's referring to my future basements, which we will talk about only with love. I think we're going to like clean it out completely. He is going to clean it out completely. And we're going to like finish part of it, like where there's going to be an office, maybe for me, and like a little workout area. I think it's going to be really cool. Okay, Tammy says, I'm trying Insightly for CRM, and so far I love it, and it is free. Okay, so if you guys are watching tonight and you're looking for a CRM tool, that's your customer relationship management tool, 2 things that I would recommend that are free: Insightly, because Tammy says she loves it, and Hubspot, which is really cool, and it's also free. And then another thing that I've used that I really like is called OnePage CRM, and it is not free, or there's a free trial, but it's not free. There's a monthly subscription to use it, but I really, really like it because the way that it's set up is very much like how my brain works. It's very focused on like the next action, the next person that you should be contacting in order to grow your business. So I really like that. Okay, Vianna. Oh no, Vianna's having internet technical difficulties too. She says she'll have to rewatch it to see what she missed. Kathleen says, this is so true. You have to redirect them to the task. Yes, that's working with your clients. And okay, Rossi's got a question. Rossi says, what do you do? Sorry, y'all. I always get hot when I do this. What do you do if they just keep talking or they hesitate to make decisions? Okay, good question. And this has come up several times before, but I never mind like answering this kind of thing, or I try to answer it as best as I can. And Lainey has said a similar thing in past videos. You kind of got to be the one to do your best to keep things on track so that you can say for sure that you were not the reason that things were off track. Now, we do get really close with our clients, not always really close, but close enough where like they want to tell you stories, they will ask you about your life. Like, I try to not go into that on purpose with them, but if they ask me, tell them a little bit, they want to know about my kids, I'll tell them a little bit about my kids. But if they want to tell me a story, I'm listening to that. But I'm trying not to be the one telling them stories because that doesn't come across very professionally. But I do pride myself on, listening like with like real interest, because I do care about these people and I care about the stories of their stuff. Like, obviously, like when you're going through their stuff, you're going through pictures, like they're going to want to stop and tell you, they're going to want to stop and show you a thing or a memory, or just be able to tell you about it. And you guys have to realize that sometimes like that's a really important part of the process for them, is that they need to be able to like talk out loud to somebody, and a lot of them will value the fact that you are there and that you are listening. It's kind of like how there's some people who really need to tell their hairdresser everything going on with their life. Like, I guess it's kind of like, hairdressers, for example, know that they're kind of like a little bit of a therapist, or they just, they get to know their clients like that because they see them. And, year after year, they have this relationship. And I really think that, being that non-judgmental, compassionate listener is really part of your job. However, it's kind of like, I think you can be really gentle and firm about kind of saying, keep talking or keep telling me your story. But by the way, what should we do with this thing? Or should we move on to this next box or whatever that we're unpacking? I'm just throwing out an example there. Just so that, you are kind of trying to like gently keep making progress or doing your job while you're there and letting them, get, extrovert a little bit. Like sometimes they just need to get it out or just tell you something, which is fine. Now, Jennifer says that is so the answers I need. Okay, good. But Rossi, so if they talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and I can't tell you, like, this does happen. I mean, it really does happen. And you can do your best to kind of like keep trying to like get things done or keep making suggestions. And you kind of have to feel your client out, because some people actually like it if you're like, okay, Sally or whoever your client is, like, okay, we really need to focus now. Like, that was hilarious. Lainey was telling about a client she says was so funny and like so interesting, and she really wanted to hear all of her stories, but it's like, okay, but we really got to get some things done, like, don't you think? And there's a way of saying it that's like you're talking to your best friend rather than like talking down to a client. Does that make sense? Because you don't want to be that person who's like, oh my gosh, you're wasting my time. You're telling a stupid story. I don't care about your past. Like, I'm just here to work. And you might think that you're coming across like, I'm just here to do my job, very professional, but like that can be like really off-putting to your client who's like, listen, if they wanted to hire a moving company with guys that they didn't speak to, like, they would have just done that, but they hired you for a reason. And I really feel like, being that person who can be a little bit flexible with the situation and like really kind of customize your style and like your pace like to them and like what they need, I feel like that's part of delivering a high-end service. That reminds me, go back to last month when my friend Liz was here and we talked about creating a luxury client service and what that means. Like, what does that mean, about the way that you present yourself and the way that you market yourself and the way that you are just with them, like one-on-one. Okay. Tammy said, here's a good little script. Tammy says, I love your story, but I have a quick question. What do you do with this? And then she says, okay, now you were saying, okay, good. So Tammy is kind of giving us a good little interjection, a way to politely interject, but then also kind of bring it back to, allowing them to finish it. But Rossi, the other part of your question was actually something separate, hesitating to make decisions. That's kind of a whole nother separate topic, but that does happen all the time too. And it depends on how severe of an issue it is, especially because let's say it's not as big of a deal if they want to go slow and they're hesitating to make decisions if they're not on a deadline. But if they have hired you and it's like, okay, I've got 6 weeks before I've got to get my house ready to stage and sell. And then when you're in there, they're just like dragging their feet because there's some reason why it's really hard for them to do this. I've talked about a client I had before who she was on a deadline and she really needed the help. She didn't have family around. She was physically unable to do it, but she was moving out of a house that she had lived in for 40 years. Her husband had passed away like 2 years before that. And it was the first time that she was actually going through like closets, pulling out his stuff and having me take it and give it away. So it's not just about like, the physical aspect of what we were doing should have not taken that long, but emotionally is like a completely different ball game. And then sometimes she would just say, I'm really sorry, but I just need to kind of sit down and take a break. And this is another reason why you guys have to be really flexible with like the plan, because you cannot always stick to the plan with these kinds of clients. And you can find something else to do. Like, okay, so while you're taking a break here, let me fold these clothes or pack this other stuff up in this box that is not so difficult, for me to handle on my own, while you kind of get some water, take a sit break, whatever. And then sometimes, and this is a big reason, going back to the package pricing. Sometimes, we would schedule a session and she would just keep rescheduling, keep putting it off. She's like, oh, I'm not up for it today. I couldn't do any of the things that I said. I said I was going to do all this homework, or I was going to get some of this stuff done in between our sessions. And she's like, I'll just be honest, I just haven't done it. And then one time she almost like burst into tears with me on the phone and was just like, I just don't want to do this. And at this point I knew her well enough to say, I know, like, I know, but we have this number of days until, we have it set up with the realtor to come and talk about doing pictures and everything. I'm like, so, what else, can we go ahead and do this next session? Or, I can't remember what I said at the time. What else can I do to help you move things along or, support you in this process? But if you have a client like that, and you have not had them pay for the package up front, then every single time that they cancel on you, you have to collect your reschedule fee and then try to get them to reschedule and then get them to pay for that session. And it's just it's really, really complicated because you're trying to run a business. They are going through the hugest transition of their life. So I feel like package pricing is one way to bring those two things together so you can deliver them that all-inclusive service and not feel resentful about it and not be put in a bad place because of it, because they canceled on you for the 5th time in a row. All right, so jumping around some more. I'm going to come back to Dee's question in just a second. Kathleen, okay, Rossi says, I absolutely want to be able to listen and be on task, always with caring for the clients. Good. Very good. Becky says she loved the video with Liz. And Kathleen says, I told my coworker about our group. I said, they say the things that I say and work the same way I do. It's like I found my alien tribe, except way cuter. That's an awesome compliment, girl. I love it. Okay. Dee has a question about Asana. In Asana, do you need to pay for sharing the tasks with your clients? Let's say you have a virtual client. Do you use it to share the steps with them? Okay. I have been confused about Asana's pricing before, but I believe that at this time, you don't have to pay to assign a task to an external person and have it emailed to them. Now, they cannot log in and use Asana as part of your team, if that makes sense. Now, they could have a free Asana on their own, and you guys might be able to send each other stuff. That is a horrible explanation, but you can have a free account and they can have a free account, and you guys can have things assigned to each other, and Asana will send an automatic reminder to that person. But you guys would not be you guys wouldn't be under the same project team. If you wanted to pay to have them as part of your project team, that would cost more. I think that I'm explaining that correctly. I have misspoken on that before. So if I am wrong, somebody please follow up with me on that. Okay, Shayla says, you mentioned a rescheduling fee. How should we price that? Oh, good question, Shayla. I don't do rescheduling fees because I do not charge. When I have them pay for a package, they pay upfront for the entire package. Now, as we said before, that might not be the only package they buy with you. They might sign up for another one after they're done with your first one. But when they sign up for that package, we go ahead and schedule, say it's for 4 sessions. We go ahead and schedule those 4 sessions that day so they can go ahead and get on my calendar so I can reserve that time for them. But I don't charge a rescheduling fee because I've already been paid for that time. And so when clients reschedule because they are flaky, disorganized people, and even for not disorganized people, life happens, sometimes things come up at the last second. So I allow them to reschedule for free, but it's with the understanding that they may not get on my calendar the next time that they want to. They have held those times on my calendar, but if they have to cancel and my next time out is not for 3 more weeks, then that's the next available time that they're going to get. Does that make sense? A lot of organizers they charge a rescheduling fee. The problem with that is that if somebody cancels on you You have to spend your time, and Lainey says this so well. She says, I'm having to earn my reimbursements. Does that make sense? You have to spend time chasing down the client, getting them to pay. Then you have to say, okay, you have to talk them back into scheduling again, which is just difficult. It's more and more and more decisions for your client to make. And you have to think about it from your client's point of view. They're not organized like you are, even on a good day. But let's say they're going through the death of a family member or whatever the reason is why, and I keep on bringing up death. That's not always the reason why people are, having issues with clutter or, disorganization, not at all. But say they are going through a particularly traumatic time, or even that they're moving, which just is just chaos anyway. Think about it from their point of view. It's the fewer you want to bring down the number of decisions that they have to make to as little as possible. So when you have them buy a package, it's one decision. Pick your package. And then they kind of have that feeling. It's I have this, I have an organizer taking care of all this for me, which is exactly what a high-end client wants. They don't mind paying extra money to have the whole thing, it's all inclusive. Don't have to think. You are doing all the thinking for them and all the planning for them. Veronica's on. Veronica, how are things going? She said recently she just got her first big organizing job, so I hope that is going well so far. Okay. Do you guys have any general Q&A? It does not have to be about Asana or project management or packages or anything we've talked about so far. I am happy to just kind of answer some questions off the cuff, like the good old days before we had topics every week. And I just, I like hearing about how things are going with y'all, or just general new things that you've learned, or different client situations that you have encountered. I am basically all ears right now. Okay, Kathleen says, I have not done a business plan since this is so new. Does anyone have tips on doing one? I don't know where to start. Okay, so Kathleen, I know Kathleen just signed up for the masterclass too. So I think that you will probably get a good feeling of kind of an overall plan for your business through that. I don't have a business plan, planning process or anything other than in the free email course that everybody is welcome to take. If you haven't taken it yet, go onto proorganizerstudio.com and you'll see the sign up for the free class, free email course. The fifth or sixth day of the email course has a basic business plan, kind of in the order that I would do things if I was starting over again, which is always helpful to have somebody who's do not waste your money on this until you are making sales consistently. And Alicia has a recommendation. She says, Business Boutique website has good steps for a business plan. Awesome. Okay, good. So Kathleen, check into that. Becky says, I have my first 2 initial consultations this weekend. 2 at a time is good. That's kind of a good omen. Good practice. Okay, I just saw Natalie signed on. Okay, I do have a couple of other little just general announcements. If you guys are still listening, still hanging out in the resource library is still really new. I mean, it's only 4 months old. It's still a newborn baby. But the resource library is something that is really growing, developing. I have a lot of big plans for it over the next end of this year, next year. In the resource library, one new thing that I added last month, and it's sort of down, it's down with the other business resources, but you have to know that it's there or be looking for it. Or if you got the email, if you're currently a member of the resource library, you should have gotten an email that this was a new thing that was added. There is a new thing that's just called creative ideas lists. And this is something that I really like, because something that I have like all day long is good ideas. Well, at least okay ideas, good ideas, creative ideas, things that I think would be really cool for an organizing business. Like, I have more ideas than I have like days of the week. Like, I can't do all of them myself. So, and then I come across cool things too, because I do a lot of competitor research for some of my one-on-one clients, for my one-on-one, you guys, the people that I'm working with one-on-one. I do competitor analyses, and so I come across a lot of good ideas because I see a lot of organizers' websites, and so every once in a while I'll write down something that I'm like, oh, that's really unique, or that's really different. Not a lot of people are doing this. So in the resource library, there is now an ideas list. So if you ever feel like you just are kind of at a creative block, or you want something that'll like make your services stand out a little bit, or like the way that you describe your packages, that those are just some things that live in there now, which I will be continuously updating or adding to. Okay, here's another question from Marta. Marta said, how important is it to have insurance? Did you ever have to use it? No, I've never had to use mine. But two things. Marta, a couple of things about insurance. There's a lot, when you are getting your business off the ground, I would guess, I can't give you a percentage, I would guess that there's a lot of new organizers who do not pay to take on an insurance plan until after they have had some clients. Like, you want to make sure you actually have a business that you know how to make sales in before you spend money to insure it. Does that make sense? So a lot of organizers, and me too, didn't have it like on literally like our first job. There are, I'm not giving you legal advice here. I'm not giving you legal advice. But a lot of it depends on like your particular business structure. Like, if you're operating as a sole proprietor, or if you have already formed an LLC, like those two things can define some of what could happen if something went wrong in your business, like if somebody sued you. So it would depend a lot on your business structure. It would depend on, possibly the area that you live in. If insurance is going to cost you a minimum of $1,000 a year, it's like, okay, maybe I need to get a client or two and then talk about that, And so one of the things that I always like to say is, I am not an expert in recommending what you guys should do with insurance. I can give you, if you Google, I'm going to test this real quick, make sure I'm giving you the right search term. Professional organizer insurance. I have this listed in the resource library too, under business resources. If you Google professional organizer insurance or liability insurance with your area, like say you live in Greenville, South Carolina, where I do live, you could Google liability insurance, Greenville, South Carolina, just to get you started, just to give you like a general quote or idea of what it might cost you, because you might be able to get a cheaper deal through, like if you have an existing like home insurance plan, you might be able to combine the two and like get a package deal on that. So my point is, it's really going to vary based on who you are, what kind of business you have, how comfortable you are with risk. In your contract, you can, have them waive a lot of your liability by saying, this is just an example. You can have some wording that states that you agree not to be held liable for anything more than the cost of the session. That would be one thing. Like, they're agreeing that they are not going to sue you for $3,000 for a session that costs them $200. Like, you're essentially saying, like, worst case scenario, I'll give you your money back, but I'm not going to be held liable for something crazy like that. The other thing is, and I said this from the very beginning, and again, whatever I just said is not legal advice. Y'all know that. Okay, so you need to consult with somebody on that. But for another thing that I said from the very beginning is, I just said, if there's anything priceless in this house, if there is anything that you do not want me to touch, like I need to know about that right now. because, you know, I just said, like, I don't want to break a priceless family heirloom or any kind of possession that is worth a lot of money. And so I just let them know. And most people are just like, like, it's nothing. And then, you know, I had other, clients who were like, who were moving, who I really was working with, like, their family heirlooms and, like, their antiques and, like, helping them, like, pack all this stuff and, like, their fanciest china and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, I hired you, like, hiring you to handle this stuff with care and, like, knowledge about what this is cheaper than paying, like, a bunch of guys, like, in a moving company who are just going to throw it around. You know what I mean? That was a little bit of a side. It wasn't really about insurance, but okay. Natalie says Jen has a great contract in her masterclass with some good wording for this. I do. My contract is in the masterclass resources along with a bunch of other stuff. Okay. Another thing I'm going to tell you, is a little bit of like a side announcement, is if you guys are interested, if you are not a masterclass student and you're interested in doing it, I'm letting you know that today is Tuesday, July 11th, and on Saturday, July 15th, on Saturday, July 15th, the payment plan for the masterclass is going away. So you will only be able to sign up like with the full price of the masterclass. If you're interested in doing the payment plan, you need to let me know. But there are probably gonna be people who are watching this video long after that has gone by, so I hesitate to even bring it up, but I'm just letting you guys know, if you're watching it now, that there is a payment plan, and if you're interested, you need to do it before this weekend. We've been testing that option for the last 6 months or so, and it's hasn't proven to be the best idea, but if you guys really, really want to do it, I'm just letting you know that is going away. So that was a little side note. Okay, Marta said, thank you. Very helpful. You're welcome. Okay, if anybody else has a question, just type it on in there. Or we can just wrap this up after an hour tonight. I'm so glad that you guys were with me. I'll let you know next week, my web designer, Emma Woodman, she is so cute, so fun, so fabulous, just like I think my whole team is. She is going to be doing Facebook Live next Tuesday. We are finalizing the topic, but she's going to give you guys a little bit of like DIY advice, resources, tips, tools for working with, maybe for getting a logo, either for doing your own or finding like an affordable resource to do a logo. She also does logos. She does websites. Like I don't know if you guys have ever researched the cost of what web design is, but what she offers, she's doing like a full branding package and web design package for $1,200 total. And you guys, if you have looked around at this online on the web at all, it's way more expensive than this in most other places. So please take advantage of that if you have realized that graphic design, web design is not your thing, and that you know that your branding is like super, super important, because people will like visually kind of make, get their perception, from your website of who you are and what you're about. So I would love for you guys to take advantage of Emma, but she is going to be giving you some like DIY tips next week. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. I certainly will, because I'm excited to hear her share about her expertise. She has a really, minimalistic but pretty aesthetic in her design portfolio, which I really encourage you guys to check out. And she really understands what it is we're doing as professional organizers, which a lot of web designers just don't necessarily. They're like, do what? Like, what are you doing? It is kind of important for them to understand your vision. So that's why it's so fabulous that she is working through Pro Organizer Studio to offer that, which is cool. Okay. Danielle says, that is such a great deal for branding and web design and totally worth it to have an amazing website without the stress. I completely agree. Okay, awesome. Okay, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, for asking your questions, and kind of going with my on the fly like Asana plus other life general stuff tonight. It was kind of nice to not have to plan out the whole thing like I usually do now. Rossi says, thank you so much for all the information. I'm so excited for next week since I'm going to be working on my logo pretty soon. So I'm really grateful. And Dee says, thank you, Jen. Thank you. Thank you guys. Oh, Jay just got back on. I guess her internet's working again. All right. I will see you guys next week. As always, if you ever need anything, if you're confused about where things are, because we have a lot of videos now, we have a lot of content, a lot of topics, a lot of this stuff has been covered before. So if you're ever looking for something and can't find it, search the group, search the YouTube channel, or email me, and I will sort you out and get you pointed in the right direction. So it's hello@proorganizerstudio.com. All right. Okay, Jay says, at the end, haha. All right, thank you guys. Bye.